Hello and welcome to Election Night 2018. Today we are looking at the returns for the 2018 midterm elections in the Senate, the House, and the governor's races. Here's a look at our poll closings for tonight. We're going to have many starting at 6 all the way to 1 o'clock in the morning. Now we have poll closings for 7 p.m. in Indiana, Kentucky, Vermont, Virginia, South Carolina, and Georgia. In the Vermont Senate, we can project that Bernie Sanders will win re-election. In the Virginia Senate, Tim Kaine will also win re-election. But in the Indiana Senate, the GOP thinks they can really pick up a seat here against incumbent Joe Donnelly in a very heavily red state. Looks like they got about 1.5% behind right now, but let's see how things unfold for the rest of the night. In the Vermont governor's race, we can project that Phil Scott, a Republican, has won Vermont, winning re-election. In South Carolina, we can project that Henry McMaster has won re-election to his first full term as governor of South Carolina. In the Georgia governor, another place where Democrats think that they can pick up tonight, with Stacey Abrams going off against Brian Kemp, who faced a really hard GOP primary. She's currently up by about 2.5%, but we'll see how things go for the rest of the night. In the Vermont House, things are staying the same, 1-0 for the Democrats. In the Virginia House, however, Democrats do pick up a seat, but still are lagging behind Republicans by 1. In Georgia, nothing's changed, still Dem 4, Republican 10. Indiana, also no change here. Same in Kentucky, 1 Democrat, 5 Republican. South Carolina, no change here. And now we're on to the 7:30 poll closings in North Carolina, West Virginia, and Ohio. In the West Virginia Senate, we can project now that Joe Manchin will win re-election. He faced a bit of a challenge, but he overcame it, once again winning a heavily Republican state. In the Ohio Senate, a state where Trump carried, but incumbent Senator Sherrod Brown, very well liked by the people of Ohio, has a fairly commanding lead over Jim Renacci. The Ohio governor's race, however, is much closer, with Richard Cordray only beating Mike DeWine by 0.5%. Now this is the governor's seat that John Kasich used to hold, but now he can no longer run. He is term limited, and Mike DeWine is hoping to keep Ohio red. In the Virginia House, we do have a bit of a shocker, where Democrats do pick up a seat in the 3rd district. Richard Ojeda is fairly progressive. He's a former military man, and he's doing pretty good, and he actually won a seat here in the 3rd district of West Virginia, a state heavily carried by Trump. Ohio Democrats do not pick up a seat here. They thought they could contend in the 12th district in a special election back in August, but it looks like they were unsuccessful. North Carolina, however, Democrats do pick up a seat, but still trail Republicans. Now we have poll closings for 8 o'clock. A lot of them right now. We got Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Florida, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Illinois, Oklahoma, and Missouri. So we got a lot to go through right now. We can project that independent Senator Angus King has won. We can also project that Elizabeth Warren, who many believe is a possible Trump challenger in 2020, has won re-election. Sheldon Whitehouse has also won re-election in Rhode Island, along with Chris Murphy in Connecticut, who has won re-election. In Delaware, we can project that Tom Carper, another Democrat, won re-election. Same with the neighboring state of Maryland, Ben Cardin, also winning re-election. In Pennsylvania, a state that the GOP heavily targeted because Trump won, unfortunately they will not be flipping the Senate seat as Bob Casey wins re-election. Mississippi, however, very Republican state, Roger Wicker will win. Now on to Mississippi Special Senate election. Cindy Hyde-Smith, the woman appointed to fill the seat, has won re-election. She faced a bit of a Democratic challenge, but will win easily. Now on to the New Jersey Senate, which a little bit of an odd occurrence here, as Bob Menendez you would think would win re-election very easily. However, due to some charges brought against him a year ago that were cleared, he does face a bit of a challenge from Bob Hugin here, a more moderate Republican, but Menendez is currently leading by 4%. In the Florida Senate, very watched race tonight. Bill Nelson, the incumbent, is trailing Governor Rick Scott by about a full percent. Now the Missouri Senate, another hugely watched race tonight. Incumbent Claire McCaskill facing off against Missouri Attorney General Josh Hawley. She's currently leading, but the race is still very early and far too close to call. Tennessee Senate, a very Republican-heavy state, but former Governor Phil Bredesen is vying for that seat. He was fairly well liked while he was governor, and he decided to give it a chance, and it looks like he could come up with a bit of an upset tonight. In Pennsylvania, we can project that Tom Wolf will win re-election. Illinois, we have our first Democratic pickup of the night as J.B. Pritzker has unseated Bruce Rauner for governor of Illinois. In Maine, we can also project another flip for the Democrats as Janet Mills is now the governor of Maine. Alabama, however, we will not see a flip as Kay Ivey, the Republican, is elected to her first full term as governor of Alabama. In New Hampshire, Chris Sununu easily wins re-election. And in Massachusetts, a very heavy blue state, but Charlie Baker is fairly well liked and he will win re-election. Tennessee, unlike their Senate race, Bill Lee will easily win the election as a Republican candidate. No switch here. Oklahoma, Mick Cornett, another easily Republican state. He will win the election. Maryland, a blue state. Now, Democrats thought they could challenge it, but Larry Hogan seemed a little too well liked. In the Florida governor, however, we have Gwen Graham, the daughter of former Florida Governor Bob Graham, who's vying for her father's seat against Ron DeSantis, a U.S. representative, very heavily touted by Trump, but she does seem to be winning at the moment. Connecticut governor, a very solid blue state, but former Governor Dan Malloy, not very well liked by the people, and we could possibly see a flip here. However, Ned Lamont is leading by 7%. Rhode Island, very similar situation. Incumbent Governor Gina Raimondo, a bit of a low approval rating, and she does face a pretty decent challenge from Alan Fung. There is also a Libertarian candidate, Joe Trilla, right now, who has 6% of the vote, and he could be playing a spoiler for Fung today. In the Maine, House Democrats thought they could maybe pick up the second seat, but it looks like they will not. New Hampshire, both seats still held by the Democrats. Massachusetts, all 9 seats are still held by the Same in Rhode Island. And Connecticut, all 5 will remain. Delaware, their 1 seat will remain. In New Jersey, however, Democrats will pick up 3 seats, giving them a 10-2 lead over the Republicans. Maryland, it'll still remain 7-1 Democrats. Pennsylvania, however, due to a large amount of redistricting, Democrats are able to pick up 3 seats, giving them an even 9-9 tie. In Florida, Democrats thought they could pick up a few seats here, however, they will only be able to pick up 1. They trail the Republicans 12-15 in the state. Tennessee, they will not pick up a seat. It remains Democrats 2, Republicans 7. In Mississippi, they will also not pick up any sort of seat. It remains the same, 1-3, Republicans. Alabama, same thing, 1-6. And Missouri, also no change, 2-6, Republicans. Oklahoma, solid red, and Republicans are going to be able to keep all 5 of them. Illinois, however, Democrats do pick up 2 seats, giving them a commanding 13-5 lead over Republicans in the state. Now on to our 8:30 poll closings in Arkansas. We can project that Asa Hutchinson, very well liked governor, will win. that all 4 of Arkansas's House seats will remain Republican, giving them a 4-0. We do have a race call to make, however, in Ohio. Project that Sherrod Brown will win re-election. Brown, who's been touted as a possible 2020 challenger against Donald Trump. Could this be a springboard for him for the position? Who knows? We'll have to see. We do have poll closings for 9 p.m. We have closings in New York, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, North and South Dakota, Wyoming, Nebraska, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, Louisiana, and Kansas. In the New York Senate, we can project that Kirsten Gillibrand will win. We can also project that Debbie Stabenow will win re-election to Michigan. In the New Mexico Senate, we can project that Martin Heinrich will win re-election. And in Minnesota, A.B. Klobuchar will also win. It does have a special Senate race, and Tina Smith, the woman appointed to fill the seat, has won election to her first term. In the Wisconsin Senate, a state that Trump picked up in the 2016 election, Tammy Baldwin, however, will hang on to her Senate seat. Wyoming, very Republican state, John Barrasso will retain. Nebraska, Deb Fischer will do the same and retain her seat. In North Dakota, however, Kevin Cramer, U.S. member of the House of Representatives, he is facing off against incumbent Heidi Heitkamp. He is currently leading her by about 0.5%. Arizona, a seat that Democrats believe they can pick up, Kirsten Sinema and Martha McNally, both members of the U.S. House of Representatives, vying for the seat left by Senator Jeff Flake. Sinema is currently up by about 3%. Texas Senate, another place that Democrats think they contend, Beto O'Rourke, member of the House of Representatives, going off against incumbent 2016 presidential hopeful Ted Cruz. O'Rourke is down by about 3% right now. In New York Governor, we can project that Andrew Cuomo will win re-election to his third. In Colorado, we can project that Jared Polis is the new Democratic governor of Colorado. New Mexico, we do have a gain for the Democrats. Michelle Lujan Grisham will win the election very easily. In South Dakota, Congresswoman Kristi Noem will win election as her first term of South Dakota. Wyoming, Mark Gordon will win election. He is now Wyoming's Republican governor. In Texas, Greg Abbott, the Republican governor, very well liked, will win re-election. Same in Nebraska, Pete Ricketts will win re-election. Kansas governor, however, this is a little bit odd, but despite Kansas being a heavily GOP state, we see Laura Kelly trailing Secretary of State Chris Kobach by 2%. Greg Orman, the independent, does have about 12% of the vote. He could be playing a spoiler tonight. Now into Michigan governor, where we see Gretchen Whitmer leading Bill Chute by about 4%, both trying to replace Republican Rick Snyder as governor of Michigan. Wisconsin governor Scott Walker, former 2016 hopeful, is facing off against the state's superintendent of public instruction, Tony Evers. Walker leads by 1.7% early on. Now on to Arizona governor, a place where Democrats believe they can start contending. We see David Garcia does have a small lead against incumbent Doug Ducey. In Minnesota, a place that narrowly went for Clinton in 2016, we see Congressman Tim Walz, who left his seat to run for governor, is leading former Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty by about 5%. In the New York House, we can project that Democrats do pick up a seat, increasing their lead. In the Michigan House, Democrats do pick up a seat, but however still trail Republicans for the total of the state. Wisconsin Democrats will be able to pick up 2 seats, including former Speaker of the House Paul Ryan, who chose to not run for re-election. They picked up his seat. And North Dakota will remain the same, 1-0 to the Republicans. With South Dakota, which will remain the same. And Wyoming as well. And also along with Nebraska, Republicans keep all their seats. However, in Kansas, Democrats are able to pick up Kansas' 2nd congressional district. They believe that they could have competed in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, but they only pick up Colorado, Democrats also pick up one seat, giving them Colorado as a state, which is now 4-3 to the Democrats. New Mexico, no change here, 2-1 Democrats. Arizona, however, Democrats do pick up a seat, giving them a 5-4 lead throughout the state. Texas, Democrats do pick up 2 seats, but trail Republicans 13-23. Louisiana remains the same, 1 Dem, 5 Republicans. We do have a couple race calls to make in the New Jersey Senate and the Connecticut governor. In New Jersey Senate, we can project that despite a small challenge, Bob Menendez will win re-election. In the Connecticut governor's race, we can project that Ned Lamont is now the governor of Connecticut. We do have some race updates to make, however, in the Indiana Senate race, the Florida Senate race, and the Georgia governor's race. As you see here, the lead for Joe Donnelly has actually diminished, and now he trails challenger Mike Braun by about 0.5%. The Republicans really working hard to... Florida, Bill Nelson, his deficit has shrunk to only 0.2% against Governor Rick Scott. This race is going to be a heavily watched one throughout the night. And in Georgia, Stacey Abrams' lead has actually diminished, and now she trails by 2% to Brian Kemp. Now we have some poll closings to make in 10 p.m. in Iowa, Montana, Utah, and Nevada. In the Utah Senate, former 2012 presidential nominee Mitt Romney has won the election. Montana Senate, however, a place where the GOP thought they could really contend against incumbent Senator John Tester, but Tester is currently up by about 3%. Nevada Senate, a place where Democrats believe they can unseat a very unpopular incumbent, Dean Heller, and Congresswoman Jackie Rosen is currently up 8% on Heller. Iowa Governor, a place where Democrats are going to try hard to contend back in the Midwest. Fred Hubbell, the challenger, does trail the incumbent Ken Reynolds by over 3%. The Nevada governor, another place Democrats are going to try very, very hard. They've been working to really push out the Latino vote in both Nevada and Arizona. Steve Sisolak trails Adam LaSchultz by about 1.5%. In the Iowa House, Democrats do pick up a seat, giving them an even split. In Utah, however, Democrats really tried hard for that 4th seat, but ended up losing, and Republicans retain control of all the seats in Utah. Montana still 1-0. Nevada, however, we do see the Republicans picking up the 3rd congressional district. Now, this might be one of the only pickups for Republicans you see tonight. We do have a lot of race calls in today. We have one to make in the Indiana Senate, Georgia Governor, Ohio Governor, Missouri Senate, Tennessee Senate, Florida Governor, Michigan Governor, and Minnesota Governor. In the Indiana Senate, we can project the first flip towards the Republicans in the Senate. Mike Braun has unseated Joe Donnelly. Missouri Senate, however, Claire McCaskill will withstand Josh Hawley and win re-election as senator. Tennessee, however, Democrats get a really big gain here, as Phil Bredesen is now the Democratic senator of Tennessee. In Georgia, Stacey Abrams tried really hard to win this seat, but unfortunately Brian Kemp will now be the governor of Georgia. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine will defeat Richard Cordray, and he is succeeding John Kasich as governor of Ohio. Florida Governor, however, we see Democrats winning where they pick up the seat. Gwen Graham is now the Democratic governor of Florida. Another seat pickup for Democrats is Gretchen Whitmer is now the governor of Michigan. Democrats win, but this one is not a pickup, as Tim Walz is now the governor of Minnesota. We do have some important race updates to make in the Florida Senate and North Dakota. Florida, we see Rick Scott's lead diminished to only 0.02%. Now this is a very close race to watch, and it might not be called until early tomorrow. In North Dakota, however, we can see Kevin Cramer's lead really starting to grow. He is up 1.1% against incumbent Heidi Heitkamp. Now on to our 11 o'clock poll closings, as we have closings in Washington, Oregon, California, Idaho, and Hawaii. In Washington, we can project that Maria Cantwell will win re-election. In the California Senate, Dianne Feinstein, a long-serving senator from California, will win re-election once again. Hawaii, Mazie Hirono will win re-election. California Governor, Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom is now the Governor of California. David Ige is projected to be the Governor of Hawaii. He fenced off a challenge from Congresswoman Colleen Hanabusa, and he will remain Governor of Hawaii. Idaho Governor Brad Lilly will take over as Governor of Ohio. In the Oregon Governor, however, Kate Brown, the incumbent, is fighting off a strong challenge by Republican Ruth Bueller. Not a race we thought that we'd have to watch, but she's currently up by about 3%, and we might be watching this one throughout the night. In Washington House, we can project that Democrats will pick up a seat to the House, giving them a commanding 7-3 lead over Republicans. Oregon, however, will remain the same, 4-1 for the Democrats. California, however, the Democrats really picking up many seats, 5 seats, giving them a solidly commanding 44-9 lead over Republicans in the state. Hawaii, they will retain both seats, and Republicans will retain both seats in the Idaho House. We do have a lot of race calls to make for the North Dakota Senate, the Arizona Senate, Arizona Governor, Texas Senate, Montana Senate, and Iowa Governor. In North Dakota, we can project that Kevin Cramer will unseat Heidi Heitkamp as Senator from North Dakota, another big gain. Arizona Senate, however, Kirsten Sinema will pick up the seat left by Senator Jeff Flake. She is now the Democratic Senator of Arizona. But Governor in Arizona, David Garcia, does unseat incumbent Doug Ducey for governor. He is now the Democratic Governor of Arizona. Texas Senate, Beto O'Rourke really tried hard, but Ted Cruz just had too much influence, and he will win re-election tonight. Montana Senate incumbent John Tester will also win re-election. Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds will win re-election. We do have some race updates to make for the Wisconsin Governor, Nevada Senate, Nevada Governor, and Florida Senate. In the Wisconsin Governor's race, we can project now that Tony Evers is leading incumbent Scott Walker by 0.5%. We can also see a lead growing by Jackie Rosen against Dean Heller, the incumbent. In the Nevada Governor's race, the lead for Adam Laxalt is shrinking, but it's still at about 1%. In the Florida Senate, we can now project that Bill Nelson has about a 0.1% lead over Governor Rick Scott. Now on to 12 p.m., we have some race calls to make in Wisconsin, Nevada, and Nevada Senate. In Wisconsin, we can project that Tony Evers has unseated incumbent Governor Scott Walker. In the Nevada Senate, we can project another flip for the Democrats. Jackie Rosen has unseated Dean Heller. For the Nevada Governor, they will not be able to unseat the Republican, as Adam Laxalt will now take over as Governor of Nevada. We do have a race update to make, where we'll see virtually no change over the past hour. Bill Nelson, the incumbent, still slightly leading Rick Scott, the challenger. We have poll closings now at 1 a.m. early in the morning in Alaska. We can project a gain for the Republicans in Alaska for governor, as Mike Dunleavy has beat out Bill Walker, the incumbent independent governor, who has a lower approval rating in the state and had to fight off a challenge from Mark Begich, a former senator from Alaska, and thus splitting the vote, giving Mike Dunleavy a fairly easy lead. The Alaska House will remain the same with a 1-0 to Republicans. We do have a very important race call to finally make in Florida. We can project that Bill Nelson will retain his Senate seat, a very, very narrow margin after a long and tough battle for Bill Nelson. In the House of Representatives, we can project that Democrats will retake control with a 222 to 213 lead over the Republicans. However, the Senate, we cannot stay the same. There is a tie, but the Vice President acts as the tie-breaking vote, and because Mike Pence is Republican, Republicans will keep control of the Senate. Same with the governors. Democrats do pick up seats, but Republicans are able to hold on to enough to give them the lead. Thank you all for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment.